The scene unfolds with a quiet sense of inevitability, yet it still lands with devastating force. What makes it so powerful is not just the brutality of what happens, but the complete collapse of everything the Stark family believed in. For so long, their identity was rooted in honor, loyalty, and the idea that doing the right thing would ultimately protect them. In this moment, that belief is violently dismantled, exposing the harsh reality of a world where morality offers no shield against betrayal. There is a suffocating tension leading up to the turning point, a feeling that something is deeply wrong beneath the surface. The Stark family, once secure in their alliances, suddenly find themselves isolated in a room full of hidden enemies. The shift is subtle at first, a glance, a pause, a change in tone, but it quickly escalates into something irreversible. This gradual unraveling makes the impact even more tragic, as the audience realizes the danger just moments before it is too late. What truly defines this scene is the betrayal at its core. Trust, which had been carefully built over time, is weaponized against the Starks. The violation is not just physical but deeply emotional, as those they believed to be allies reveal their true intentions. It marks a turning point not only in the story, but in the psychological landscape of the surviving characters, who will never again trust so easily. The loss experienced in this moment is staggering. It is not simply the death of key figures, but the erasure of a future that once seemed possible. The Stark family's hopes for unity, justice, and restoration are crushed in an instant. This creates a ripple effect that extends far beyond the immediate tragedy, shaping the motivations and decisions of those who remain. The brutality of the scene is deliberate and unflinching, forcing the audience to confront the consequences of political ambition and personal vendettas. There is no heroic last stand, no triumphant reversal, only chaos, fear, and the cold execution of a calculated plan. This stark realism reinforces the idea that in this world, power often prevails over principle. For the Stark children who survive, this moment becomes a defining trauma. It strips away their innocence and forces them to adapt to a reality where survival requires cunning rather than honor. Each of them processes the loss differently, but all are fundamentally changed by what they have witnessed or learned. The scene also redefines the stakes of the story. Until this point, there may have been an expectation that certain characters were protected by narrative importance. This illusion is completely destroyed, making it clear that no one is safe. The unpredictability introduced here keeps the audience in a constant state of tension moving forward. In addition, this event reshapes the political landscape. The balance of power shifts dramatically, leaving a vacuum that other forces are quick to exploit. The fall of the Starks as a unified force creates opportunities for their enemies, further complicating an already volatile situation. Emotionally, the scene lingers long after it ends. The imagery, the sound, and the sheer weight of what has occurred leave a lasting impression. It is not just a plot twist. It is a moment that demands reflection, forcing the audience to grapple with themes of justice, revenge, and the cost of loyalty. Ultimately, this scene marks the end of one chapter and the beginning of another. The Stark family, once defined by their unity and principles, are scattered and broken. Yet, in that fragmentation lies the potential for transformation, as each survivor begins a new journey shaped by the ashes of what was lost. In the wake of the tragedy, the Stark family is no longer a cohesive unit, but a collection of individuals forced onto separate paths. This fragmentation becomes a crucial element of their evolution, as each member must navigate the world alone, carrying the weight of their shared loss. The absence of their former support system compels them to grow in ways they never would have otherwise. One of the most significant changes is the shift in how the surviving Starks perceive the world. The ideals they were raised with, honor, trust, and fairness, are no longer sufficient. They begin to understand that survival often requires deception, strategy, and a willingness to embrace morally ambiguous choices. This transformation is gradual but undeniable, shaping their identities in profound ways. The memory of the fallen becomes a driving force for those who remain. Rather than being paralyzed by grief, many of the Stark survivors channel their pain into determination. This sense of purpose gives them the strength to endure unimaginable hardships, as they seek not only to survive, but to reclaim what was taken from them. Each Stark child's journey reflects a different response to the same trauma. Some become more hardened, learning to suppress their emotions in order to function in a dangerous world. Others hold onto their compassion, even as it puts them at risk. These contrasting approaches highlight the complexity of their development and the varied ways people cope with loss. The impact of the scene extends beyond the family itself, influencing how others perceive the Starks. Once seen as a powerful and noble house, they are now viewed as vulnerable, even defeated. This shift in perception affects their ability to form alliances and assert influence, forcing them to rebuild their reputation from the ground up. At the same time, the Stark name takes on a new symbolic meaning. It becomes associated not just with honor, but with resilience. Despite everything that has been taken from them, the surviving members refuse to disappear. Their continued existence is a quiet but powerful form of defiance against those who sought to destroy them. The lessons learned from this tragedy begin to manifest in the decisions the Starks make moving forward. They become more cautious, more strategic, and more aware of the hidden dangers that surround them. This newfound awareness often gives them an edge, allowing them to navigate complex situations with greater skill. Relationships also change in the aftermath. Trust becomes a rare and valuable commodity, given only after careful consideration. The bonds that do form are deeper and more meaningful, forged in the crucible of shared suffering and mutual understanding. As time passes, the initial shock of the event gives way to a slow process of rebuilding. The Stark family, though forever changed, begins to find new ways to assert their presence in the world. Their journey is no longer about preserving what once was, but about creating something new from the remnants of their past. In the end, this scene does not simply mark a loss. It sets the stage for a transformation. The Stark family emerges not as the same house they once were, but as something more complex and resilient. Their story becomes one of endurance, adaptation, and the enduring strength of those who refuse to be defined by their suffering. In the long shadow of that moment, the Stark legacy continues to evolve in ways that would have once seemed unimaginable. The survivors begin to redefine what it means to carry their family name, no longer bound strictly to the ideals of the past, but shaped by the harsh lessons they have endured. This evolution is not a rejection of their roots, but rather an adaptation, an acknowledgement that survival sometimes demands change. The emotional scars left behind never fully fade, and they subtly influence every choice the Stark survivors make. Even in moments of triumph, there is an undercurrent of grief, a reminder of what was lost and the price that was paid. This lingering pain adds depth to their victories, making them feel earned rather than given, and reinforcing the idea that growth often comes through suffering. As their individual journeys begin to intersect once more, there is a sense of something being rebuilt, not the same as before, but stronger in its own way. The shared history of loss creates an unspoken understanding between them, a bond that does not rely on proximity but on experience. This connection becomes a source of strength, allowing them to face new challenges with a renewed sense of unity. The world around them, however, has not become any less dangerous. If anything, it has grown more complex, filled with shifting alliances and hidden threats. Yet the Starks are no longer naive players in this game. They have learned to observe, to question, and to act with intention, using both their instincts and their experiences to guide them through uncertainty. Ultimately, the scene that once marked their downfall becomes the foundation of their resurgence. It is a painful origin point for a new chapter, one defined not by innocence, but by resilience and transformation. The Stark family's fate was irrevocably changed in that moment, but rather than being erased, they were reforged into something enduring, capable of rising even after being nearly destroyed.